I was just messaging you back, and then I was like, I'm just gonna talk to her right now.
About your avatar?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I got like the update on my phone, and then all of a sudden these avatars that my kids and I had made like in friggin' 2016 popped up. So that's she's an old avatar, you know.
I was just saying
Um
she would need to get work done to look half as hot as you because right now she's giving not Angela Montoya at all.
yeah. Yeah, what the heck?
Who is
I think
that? I was
I think
like, I was
Alicia
like,
made that.
I was like, ooh, who is that? That's not you. Where's her long hair, first of all?
That's true. That's true. I'll have to work on those avatars that I never use, but decided to just randomly send you today.
It was a shock. It was a shock. It wasn't our usual banter. So I didn't know what to do with her. But thank you for
I know.
sharing her with me, I think.
You're welcome. More to come.
More to
More to come.
come.
Now
Although
that I know you love it.
she could never have the gloss of your hair. Okay, I have to ask, what do you put in your hair to make it shine? So shiny. Your photos this week have been killing me.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I had one day where I was just like, I am
Yes.
done. Like I'm done up. I'm taking pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, so but thank you for the hair compliment. I wash my hair maybe twice a week. I think that's
That's the secret, the natural oils.
yeah, just greasiness,
Yeah.
I think is the secret.
Well, it's you haven't washed it all away and then it's just like pure shine. Or it was a very shiny filter.
Could have been, could have been. You never know. You never know. I won't tell my secrets.
Yeah,
There was maybe a little preset filter on there
little.
just to zhuzh.
Just to zhuzh.
Yeah. And the lighting was actually really good. That's why I had to take
Mm.
those pictures because I saw like the light was beaming from the window and I thought, this is my one shot. I got to do
When
it.
yeah, when the lighting is that good, you have to take a lot of photos because the next day it could be like not the
Yeah.
same vibe and it could deal a dashing blow to one's ego. Although
It's true.
I
I was
feel
like,
like
that's it.
you're the bitch that looks good in the Hessian sack, you know?
No, it's not true. It's not true. That's why I know when the time is right, I've got to work it. Otherwise, unrecognizable most days.
Same. It's
That's why
relatable.
whenever I see somebody in public that I know, I just like hide.
Mm,
I will jump into a different aisle and hide behind toilet paper
same.
just to not. Okay, good.
Even if
Yeah.
it's somebody I know and like, if I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting them and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like
Even
in a
yeah.
very like up in my head space, is even sometimes I'll avoid people that I like and just hide
Yeah.
behind the groceries.
100%. I have avoided family members even when
Well, that feels
but they caught me
natural.
anywhere. Yeah, that's true. They caught me anyway. Yeah, they
Ooh,
caught me
they
anyway.
caught you. Did they see
Yeah,
that
they
you
caught
were
me.
hiding?
Yeah,
That's
they
shame.
noticed. It was. Yeah. Anyway, welcome everyone to the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya here with Melanie Schubert, with an emu, not an emu,
You finally
to
noticed.
us.
I was waiting for you to notice it.
I have noticed, I have been noticing. How do you not like just stare at that horrifying thing behind you? Yeah, you have an emu
Absolutely, I
from
do.
our dear momager Jessica Para, who you just
Yeah.
had a glorious honeymoon with.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how the hell was it seeing Jess like in human form, in the flesh?
I want to cry just thinking about it in the best way. Like, honestly, like, I was so fucking nervous beforehand. Like, I was like, can you like pass out before seeing someone? Like, I was genuinely starstruck. And then we were messaging, and she's like, no, I'm the same. I'm so sweaty. I have to change this top. I think it's like, we've just been looking at each other like through a screen, listening to each other's voices on DMs for like 5 years. When did we get into Pitch Wars? Nearly 5 years now.
Yeah, I mean, late 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
And honestly, like, at least for you bitches, you've seen people in the real from like our big community. And like I have with our Aussie community, but our whole Pitch Wars community is largely for me online. So this was the first American friend I've seen in real life. I was like, what's it gonna be like? What do Americans even feel like, in person? I was
Did
just
she
like,
feel good? Did she feel good?
yes, absolutely. But it was like once we both got over like that kind of initial like starstruckness, seeing each other. It was so cute because I took her to a cafe called Duke's, which is one of my favorite. It's also the inspiration behind the cafe in both Beyond Love, the book I'm going to go on sub with soon, and Soul Swapped, another which you've read.
Yeah.
So the Cafe Queens, or it was originally Kings, but I changed it to Queens because girl power. Um, it's inspired by that cafe. So yeah,
Cool.
I took her there for that's where we met. We had our meet cute there, and it literally felt like a meet cute. Like she was meant to come earlier, so we had like quite limited time because her flight got cancelled. But we maximized the time we had. So we met there, and I didn't even know she was in there already. And I walked in, I was kind of like looking around, I was like, oh, she's probably not here. And then I just heard like, Mel. And she was like right tucked down in the corner in like one of my favorite spots. And she just sprung up, the little pocket rocket with her like,
Yes.
her hair is iconic. She's this tiny
Yeah.
little human with this mane of glorious hair. And she just sprung up and flew at me. And she's so small. I like picked her up and I spun her around the cafe and we were like screaming. It's like a core memory in my head now, our meeting.
Yes.
Um, And yeah, it took like a second for like the nerves. And I'm like that even with like long friendships. Like if I haven't seen the friend in person for a while, I just get those like social anxiety nerves regardless. Um, but it was kind of amazing how quickly it subsided and how quickly it was like, oh, this is like, yeah, like my chosen family, you know? And it really felt like that very quickly. And it was very emotional knowing that like she had to go, like she's on the other side of the planet now. I can't just be like, oh, come over for coffee next week. Because once you've seen each
Yeah.
other in person, it feels very normal to want to have each other come back. Because we've all
Yeah.
been and it would feel exactly the same with you. We're so used to seeing each other on screen. But once I see you in person, I think I'm just going to be like, I just need a Montoya hug. Because now I know what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's a good hug. Yeah.
I bet. So, but yeah, it wound up being just magical. Like that day, I took her to this little secret hidden bar and I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know what to expect. And my original plans, the fucking cafe I booked had was shut that one day.
Oh,
And
of course.
I was like, how did I miss this? You feel so stupid when you do something like that. I'm like, my friend is here from the US and I like cannot take her back, next week. But I don't know, at a point I was just like, I think we were both trying to like cram so much in, but then also realized I just want her to be at home
Yeah.
as if she can just come. And then the next day she came and just like knocked on my door and we went and had coffee and I was like, that's kind of like we did laundry together, like for me that's like the most treasured parts, just like the doing life together bits that just feels like chill. But yeah, it was wonderful and like better than I could have imagined. And yeah, like online friendships can be so like when you feel like you really make this effort like we do to connect and get to know each other. I'm so pleasantly surprised by how it translates into real life,
Hmm.
like even better. And like that energy doesn't lie, even through, like you get good at like sensing like what people are like. And yeah, but it's scary at first. You're like, oh, but yeah, we don't live in the dark ages, so I'm trying not to be too sad about how far away you all are.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but ultimately, how lucky are we? We can do this like back in the day, this would be like witchcraft to people. I can like dial you up and speak to you face to face, you know? I can
Oh,
send you
yeah.
a voice note. I can fly across the world to see, like all these things are so possible. So I'm trying not to be like sad about it because it's too happy. It's too amazing that we could meet like
Yes.
these like-minded souls, these souls that feel like my chosen family, and that it could translate into real life, and we can keep in touch every day if we want, you know? Like,
Yes. Yeah. No, I that's the beautiful thing. And it is true. It's like
yeah.
we forget, like we could just we're still here. And
Yeah,
this is still just as beautiful.
it
You
is
know, it's not
beautiful.
sitting and doing laundry together, but at least we're still getting to chat with our buddies. And it's fun, like when you do meet people that you are close with online, how
Mm.
easily it translates. Like it's just
Yeah.
like no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That for me is amazing because I take a while, or maybe it's not I take a while. Like being an anxious wired person and my nervous system gets easily overstimulated. Like even with good friends that can happen, right? But I was
Yeah.
amazed at how quickly my nervous system started to feel safe around her so that I wasn't like operating at like a 10 of anxiety. It was
Mhm.
like 5, which is like super manageable. You know what I mean? Like it's very
Yeah.
different to like when you have to like just feel like you have to perform with like somebody that you don't really. And that's honestly, I'm at the age where I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, I don't want to do the friendships that feel forced, you know? Like, I want to be able to. I said to Para, I was like, I'm at the age where I'm like, I want to be able to turn to my friend and be like, listen, I've shit my pants. Help. You know what I mean? Like, that's an
Yeah.
extreme example, but also not. Like,
That's true.
being human is messy. And like, you
Yeah.
want those people who like have your back and like, care about you. Like that's all it is. Some people just genuinely care about you, and some people mostly just care about themselves, you know? Which is
That's real
important
right there.
too. You have to
Yeah.
care about yourself, but
It's
yeah,
true.
like you want to be with people who care about you as well, you know? So it was
Yeah.
wonderful, and I'm left with this emu head to remind me, and I have plans for it, so stay
I
tuned.
can only imagine. Yeah, I mean I knew because Para comes with so much good energy
Yeah.
that like I knew even if you were overwhelmed, she would just chat and you could just sit
Yeah,
and listen. You know what I mean? Like she has that like I love friends like that where I could just like,
same.
yes, thank you. Thank you. Because she came to my book signing when I went down south
Yeah.
and I was so nervous and she chattered, you know, she
Yeah, yeah,
spoke and I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Okay, we're good. Like, you know, I could just she's there to kind of as like a good buffer. Like when we're
Literally.
quiet and overwhelmed, she's there. And she's feeling
Yeah.
overwhelmed too, but she it comes out in
Her
her language,
chattiness.
in her
Yeah, yeah,
chattiness, which I love. I love. So I knew you two, like as soon as you saw each other, would just be like just old love,
yeah.
all
Yeah.
friends.
It was
Yeah.
magical and
Oh,
I
and
can't
Katya
wait.
came over too, right?
Yes, Katya came as well. So she joined us at the cafe for a coffee and then she had to go back to a conference because she won some prize, like the baddie that she is.
Of course
Um,
she did.
and it was also just magical seeing my Aussie mummager and my American mummager. And like I didn't realize they didn't know each other as well as I thought, but they immediately connected and got along like a house on fire. And I was like, yes, feels right.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
The
very
world is
similar in
healing.
some way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love that all of you guys got to hang. That's so
Yes.
cool.
And next
I
time I hope
saw,
you're there.
hell yes. Honestly, when Jess was like, oh, I'm going to Australia, I was like, can I sneak on? Like, can I
I
sneak on?
Listen, I felt that thought, even though you never verbalized it. I felt that thought so hard up until the moment I saw her. I thought there was a tiny chance you might have snuck over as well. I was like, this could
Yeah.
happen. And I need to mentally prepare that I could see both of them at once and pass out on the spot. But
Next time she
yeah,
goes, I'll sneak on.
yes.
But I did see that there's going to be next year. I saw Susan Lee announce that she's going to be at a big conference in
Okay.
Melbourne.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if there's going to be a bunch, not a bunch, but like a handful of American authors heading your way, which would be cool. So you'll have to keep an eye out on that and see when it is.
Absolutely, I will. But yes, I could rant about this all day, as you know I could, but
Yeah.
I have to just firstly comment on how much I've been dying over how those green lights behind you are flashing like a halo
Oh,
constantly. I had to keep a straight
yes.
face the whole I didn't succeed. I was cackling my face off.
I noticed like I calmed them down this time.
You've
Did you
calmed them
notice?
down. Every now and then it
I
was
was
hypnotic.
dying. Yes, no, you'll see, well, if you're watching, you'll see when we're interviewing
You know what
Emily.
it felt like? It felt like
Oh,
I had joined a cult and they was like, believe in Angela Montoya. Taka, 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 and the lights are like, taka, 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 believe he's the
yes.
chosen one. Taka, taka, taka.
Yeah, warning, warning, flash, strobe lighting coming your way. I thought I put it on this setting, and then I sat down and we started the interview, and I was like, what the fuck? It's like straight up like a club behind.
It was. And just a halo. At times, it was just literally a halo
Because
around
I
your
was
head.
trying to hide it. I kept like going like that, and
You can't hide it. When you try hide it, it becomes a halo around you.
yeah, I made it worse.
And second of all, I don't think we've recorded since you got copies.
Oh yeah, we have not. We have not.
Do
I
you have one that you
I
can?
have my she's beautiful. I even got my nails to match. I She's gorgeous. I do have to say one thing, and I don't know if Para told you because I sent her some texts, which she probably didn't because she was probably busy. But anyway, not everything's about you, Angela. But anyway, the book is gorgeous, but I do want to say that I did notice like there's a little mistake
Is it my
in the
name
book.
again?
Well, yeah, I mean
Saying
that,
I'm
but
in
that
it.
was your name is wrong in this, but that was on purpose. Um,
I knew it. I
yeah,
fucking knew it.
but no, but seriously, when I first saw it, my stomach dropped because I thought like, oh no, like this is embarrassing. It's
What?
like
A
I'll
typo?
show you. So, and you probably won't be able to see it here, like, on screen. Yeah. Okay. So there's like this really cool paper.
Yeah.
It's like roses, but like little bits here and there, it shows like the watermark of the company that they got this image from.
Ah.
So it says like Shutterstock. Shutterstock.
That is that is shame.
Yeah. So like I'm over here, I open my books. I'm like, this is so beautiful, and it is so beautiful. But then
Yeah.
I turned to that and I was like, uh, and my stomach dropped, and I thought, oh
Yeah.
my freaking gosh, they left the watermarks on these gorgeous pages. And so like I spiraled for a little bit, and I was like, I texted Jill too and Para, and I don't, and then I showed, my whole family. And of course, they're just like, who cares? My
Yeah.
family was like, who cares? It's just a book. What do you, what? And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm gonna be the laughing stock of the universe.
But
Um,
if you're the laughing stock of the universe, that means the universe is buying your book.
Amen. Amen. And it's funny because like, and I talked to my team about it, and they were just like, oh, like they're obviously very upset too. Like, how
Yes.
did this slip through so many eyes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And honestly, as I was like, because I've been walking lately and listening to like classical romantic music, and so I've been very gracious, like very, I've just been feeling very happy lately because I've just been like
And
listening to
love.
Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm just like on the hill walking.
Mhm.
And anyway, so I was just thinking about it, and I was like, but at the end of the day, like this is such a good reminder that these books are created and made and sold by humans.
That's it,
Like
eh?
it's a very human mistake. And it just I don't know, it was just like a one of those things where I was like there really truly could be so many more worse things to happen to you. Like
Exactly.
obviously it's a little annoying, a little embarrassing, but we're all just humans trying to do our thing in life. And so the if we sell all the copies out and we go to the next printing, it won't be in there.
And these will
So
be treasured copies. Honestly, the
yes.
I was just gonna say, like, I can understand that sickening feeling because when it's already in print and it's something that like the initial shock and embarrassment of something like that is really super intense. I totally get it. But, well, not totally, but I can empathize with
Thank
it.
you.
And,
Yeah.
but ultimately, I was just thinking, well, these are going to be the iconic copies that had the Shutterstock printed on the acknowledgements. Personally, I hope you know how much I treasure my copy of Sinner's Isle with my name spelt wrong. Like, that's not even a joke. I think it's so precious. And I think that a lot of people are like that. Something that these flaws makes it like stand out, you know?
Yes. So, listeners, you better get a copy
Limited
now.
edition, limited edition, A Cruel Thirst copies with the Shutterstock tag. You
Yeah.
need to make a reel about that and just like put your cringe online so you can just like let it pass. Because what did
I
did
might,
your
yeah.
team say to do anything about it or nah?
No, I mean, like I talked to my editor and I was just like, is there, I know there's nothing we can do about this, but I
Mm,
just want to let you know. And she was like, oh my God.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but yeah, she didn't, she was just kind of like, well,
Yeah.
the next time we'll
Next,
do better. She was like, this has never happened to me ever in my career. And I was like, well, I'm so happy that I could be that girl.
somebody is dying somewhere, some layout person who just like grabbed a rose from somewhere.
Right? Right? So, and I would honestly, at first I was like, there'll be hell to pay, but I truly do not want anybody to get in
Mm,
trouble or feel bad about this because again, I spelled your last name wrong in a
that's
sentence.
right.
So it happens, and I know how to spell your last name.
Do you?
So
Go
yes.
on, spell it.
Well, it says it right here.
Oh,
It
fuck.
says,
Cheetah. Well, since you have that glorious book there, I don't know if you had a moment or not, but I thought it could be pretty cool leading up to release day if you could maybe read us like your favorite
yeah.
passage or scene or like whatever it is. Would you do us
Yes.
the honor of a live reading of your second brook? Your second brook. She's serving river realness. A cruel thirst. That's why I said brook,
Yes.
because if you're thirsty, you'll go to the brook and drink.
Yes. So good. So good of you to do that, Melanie. That was great. Yes, I shall. Honestly, I have like a lot of really favorite moments in this book. Like there's a lot of little moments that I just really enjoyed writing.
Yeah.
And it's been fun because people are reading it right now and I've been getting their favorite lines and stuff. Um, but this line I'm gonna share, or this little few sentences, I don't know. I just thought I was really funny when I wrote this. I thought, wow,
You
you've
are
nailed it.
funny.
Thank you.
You are funny, and the
Yes.
voice in this book is funny. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
you
it's fun.
definitely injected it with some good, it's manages to be like kind of both classic and modern humor, which I think is like really clever. I think like,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you
So,
very much. Okay, so this is from Lalo's perspective, and this is after one of the many times where he's been confronted by Carolina.
can you
She's
tell us a little bit about Lalo before we dive in for
yes.
anyone who might not have heard?
So, oh yeah, that's true. So, A Cruel Thirst follows Lalo and Carolina, and Lalo, he is a recently turned vampire,
Mm.
and he's really terrible at it. He really hates it. Like, he just wants to be in his library reading books. Not, he's not into dealing with the world so much. Um, and so he finds himself being turned into a vampire, and so he wants to try and either cure himself or protect his sister. So they travel to a small town where he believes he can find the cure, basically, to his problem, which is being a vampire. And in this town, we have a whole family of vampire hunters.
Mm.
And Carolina is one of those, or she's trying to be. She's trying to prove to her family that she can be a hunter just along with all the boys in her family. And so she decides once she bumps into Lalo that he's going to be her example. She is going to murder this boy and show to her family that she could do it. Um, Hijinks ensues, obviously. But so this scene is these two have basically been thrown into a situation together. Everybody's kind of watching them, so they're trying to pretend like they're just normal teenage kids, and they're it's a scene I can't really explain without giving things away, but just know they've been snappy at each other as they're walking towards something.
Mm,
Mostly she's snappy to him, and he's just reacting because he's,
mm.
kind of a little uptight about things, which we love,
We
you know.
love.
We love. Okay. So it said, she glanced up at him. Shining stars danced in her eyes. He didn't think the greatest artist could paint a face as beautiful as hers. Even that small line between her brows was a work of wonder. Too bad her personality was that of a badger. Which I love.
Glorious. That
That was
little
it.
like humor setup, those are my favorites.
Yes. So there's like a lot of little zingers that they
Yeah.
throw in each other's way for a good portion of the book.
Yes. How are you
Yeah, so that was a short
feeling
little
having
one.
like physical copies in your hand, aside from the one blip, but like, how does it feel having like book two?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels really good. It feels like A Cruel Thirst. It feels different from Sinner's
Mm,
Isle. Um, in so many ways, obviously. I'm not as nervous this go around.
mm,
I'm not like I don't feel as frantic about getting things in order and blah 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 blah. Um, but just the book as a whole feels different from Sinner's Isle. Like the
yeah.
feedback I've been getting has been so different, and and that's amazing. Like it just feels very exciting this time around for people to meet these characters. You
Mm,
know, I feel like Sinner's Isle. I never want to say anything bad about it because truly people are still finding it and still reading it and still
yeah.
loving it and finding so much of themselves in these characters. And so I would never like want to say anything bad about it because it's the first thing
Yeah.
that I've ever, published, and it's beautiful in and of itself. But it definitely feels like with The Cruel Thirst, I have done what I was hoping to do, which is like
Mm,
I think I feel like I've learned who I want to be as a writer
yeah.
with A Cruel Thirst. Like Sinner's Isle taught me that.
Mm,
And I got to try it with A Cruel Thirst. And that's like
yeah.
adding the humor and like also the depth and all like the wholeheartedness and the characters. I feel like I did it with this
Yeah.
one, and I know I can keep doing better.
That's
Like
it.
I think I'll learn from this one as well.
Mm,
But yeah, it feels like it definitely feels different. The
yeah.
feedback feels
Well,
different. So I'm excited.
it's like chocolate, right? Like Sinner's Isle is a perfectly delicious bar of chocolate, and A Cruel Thirst is the chocolate where you're like, oh, I love chocolates that have a bit of biscuit in it, like a little crunch.
Yes.
Or I love chocolate that's got a bit of like salt on the top because it gives it that bite. And like, it's now like,
Yes.
you're never gonna look at a block of chocolate and be like, well, that's shit. No, it's epic. But like, yeah, you're leveling up and adding in stuff all the time. So.
Hell yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes. Yes. And truly like that I love that analogy, honestly.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have another book that's gonna taste totally different. And it's gonna
exactly.
be great in and of itself. I love that.
Might be
Amazing.
mint chocolate next time, a
Might
filled
be.
chocolate. And I think
Yes.
that's it. Like you've you've gotten like confidence as a writer now, and like I think you've found your place in the industry, and like that is like so magical and so special. And I'm so excited for all the more things to come. And of course, when have you got copies of, no, I would have seen that, Monsters in Masquerade. You've got the anthology
Oh,
story coming
n
out, which I'm
no, actually. It's they
done.
just announced that they're gonna push it until April.
Oh,
So yeah, so they have some like formatting or like printing things that they're working on. So it's being pushed until April, which I think is great
is
because
that?
obviously we want everything to be about me on December 17th.
That's a good
Um
point.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
because
point.
it originally was coming out the same exact day. Yeah, so it comes out in April.
In April, well, we'll have another party then.
We will. It'll be a big party. How are you feeling with
Good.
your projects? What's going on there?
Good. I'm not doing a script for Gobsmacked, the performing arts company I work for this year, which honestly was a big relief. Initially, I was kind of like, I don't know if we're going to be doing Gregor and the Grimbuckle as a play or not. We're going to have that conversation. And initially, I was a bit like, ugh, like I was really looking forward to doing that as a script. But honestly, I think she's just been slammed and she hasn't actually thought about it. And when it got to pitching it, but I kind of was just like, actually, that's perfect. I would prefer not to have to write a whole fucking musical right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah, so even though part of it was a bit of a letdown, because I did want to give that story a second life, it was also like a major relief because I do want to really focus on the anthology, the
Yes.
Einstein's Brain anthology. So I've been doing my
Yes.
research, also just trying to take some quiet days as well because I have been like hustling pretty hard. Um, Sandra's reading she's reading my new version now, so that's exciting. Um, it's looking like we're going to be on sub in January. So that feels very close.
That's like weeks away, basically.
That's it, eh?
Yes.
I'm actually really glad I pushed to get that revision done so fast because I just think reading it that quickly. That Legear app, I just have to say again, like writers who like aren't using that or don't know about it, like it's really life-changing for editing as in particular because like I reach a point where I just cannot fucking focus on the screen anymore. Like the it
Yeah.
starts to just blur into one and you're just kind of like not making sense of it. But using that app to do made me able to do a full revision in like a
Right.
week,
The
which
app
is
where it
not.
reads it back to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
reads it back to you and like you get used to the kind of robotic voice really quickly. Um, and also it picks up a bunch of typos, which typos that
Yes.
you would expect someone would have picked up, but even after like a bunch of people have read it, it's still there, like the complete wrong word. And when you hear it read aloud, you're like, what? And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the wrong word. So I can't
Yeah.
recommend that enough. Yeah, the one I use is Legia, which you recommended to me years ago, and it's life-changing. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
use one called Voice Stream.
voice stream, is it better than
Voice
Legia?
Dream. I
Ah,
don't know if it's better, but Voice Dream, it offers you different accents.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
can get, oh, does yours have the accents as
Yeah.
well?
And
I love
sometimes I'll
that.
change it if my brain is tired. I'll change it
Yeah.
to Scottish just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it does help too. And you're like, oh, this sounds really sexy now.
It does. It does. Old Rhonda reading it to me in Scottish accent. But yeah,
Rhonda.
I'm glad I got it done so I could just kind of like I have just kind of had a bit of a break. Like I haven't been putting pressure on myself this last week or so. Also, I just had to fucking clean my apartment, so parapathia in its prime. Um, but I'm excited to get to work. Next week is going to be all about that. Like I'm gonna just like properly. I've got one more like documentary I want to watch about it. And, like, the one I found, like the actual documentary, the I'm so like glad the actual story is just as horrific as I originally researched because I was a bit nervous after doing my limited research and pitching the idea. I was like, what if I start to deep dive in it and it's like not like really true, but the real story is so fucked up. So I'm super excited to write it. And
Hell
honestly, even
yes.
as I was listening to it, I guess our brains are all kind of wired similarly because I'm not the only one who like was almost like a hint of like something supernatural about it. Like people
Mm.
felt like, there was something odd and off. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly where I got that inspo from, that it almost feels like the brain was sentient.
Yes. Oh my God. It's such a freaking cool concept. Do you know when is it due, your first?
January, I want to say January 15th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you got to get on it.
Yeah, and speaking of getting on it, we've only got like 3 minutes left. So let's read Annaleig's bio before we get sidetracked. I don't know where that time went.
I know. I know. I know. Do you have the bio up?
I do. So we had on the amazing Analeigh Sbrana, who Angela met at a masquerade ball, which all sounds very fancy, and I hope to be at that ball one day. So Analeigh
Yes.
Sbrana is a writer and visual artist. She lives in California with her husband, daughter, and a chonky kitty named Ray.
That really took you out.
Her favorite things to do include wandering through forests looking for fae, trying new cafes, and scouring used bookstores for hidden gems. She is the Sunday Times author of Lord of the Wilds.
Lore. It's Lore of the Wilds.
Well, you fucked me up because here it's not. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
She is the Sunday Times author of Lore of the Wilds.
Yes. Yeah, she's a baddie. I love her story. I love her and her vibe. So,
Yeah.
yeah, she's great.
Was that the first time you met her at that event?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
I think she had, like, they had announced the authors and then she DM'd me and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at
Oh.
this event." Like, and then now we're best friends.
Yeah.
Just,
Isn't that
just
funny?
kidding.
You didn't know that before she said it, that she also has like some Irish descendant as well?
No, I know. I had no idea.
That's so random. I have this
Mhm.
feeling that they were somehow like related?
Feels like it.
It
Yeah. I'm
feels
thinking
right.
we're probably in some coven together.
Some witchy coven,
I feel like it.
sisters
I
of
feel
a
like we
witchy
will.
coven.
It makes sense,
It makes
truly.
sense. Well, I can't
Yes.
believe we've only got 1 minute. What are you going to do for the rest of the day?
Well, I have another interview. I have like
Oh
a
my gosh.
live I'm doing. It's in a couple hours. So
Oh,
with
I
the a
thought you
seat at the
looked
table.
extra hot. That wasn't for me. That was for your other podcast.
No, no. I did this for you, damn it. I did it for you. So, yes. That's why my hair is extra shiny today.
It's so shiny. My eyes can hardly handle it.
Hello. Oh, this is all like
Hello. Blurry.
dusty. Yeah.
Actually, that's a
There.
good point.
Much
I
better.
haven't cleaned. Oh, that changed. I'm going to do mine. That changed
Yeah,
a lot.
that was rough. I don't know what I've been what I've been doing to the camera.
Those edits have been beating you down. No, it's a smart idea though, because I definitely don't clean my laptop as often as I should.
Yeah.
And I'm still in this corner, but I turned the overhead light on, so hopefully my beard isn't as prominent now, my shadow beard.
I like the beard. I think it looked good on you.
It's
It was
gone though.
very,
Hey,
yeah, yeah, it's gone. It was, yeah.
you'll have to learn to love again. Your top is
Yeah.
cute. Sparkly top. Is it
No,
sparkly?
oh. No, it's just like woolly.
I see
Does it
sparkles in it, like
really?
threads of sparkle. Is there no glitter threads?
No. I
Never
just give
mind.
off sparkly energy, I
It could
guess.
be in my eyes because I just put on this I don't know if you can see it. Para gave me this lovely sparkly um what do you call it?
They're just
Eyeshadow.
like slowly getting into your
I
eye.
think it's like it's infiltrated me,
Everything's so sparkly.
but it's only on your sweater.
Oh, well then, okay. It must be something in the sweater.
Well, she is here. I'm recording.
Fabulous.
Absolutely, I am. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, I have your bookshelves. Oh my gosh.
They're my pride and joy.
It's
Yeah.
magnificent. I thought it was like
Yeah.
a cover photo at first because it was so
Oh,
beautiful. And then you moved, and I was like, wait.
No, it's real. They go up farther.
yes, they're beautiful. Gorgeous. Well, we'll get
Thank
into
you.
that because I know, and we had chatted when we were at the masquerade ball that you were a booked. was it book talker or just book influencer first?
Bookstagrammer.
Bookstagrammer first. So
Yeah, Instagram.
obviously it shows. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us and
Thank you for
chatting with us.
having me.
Oh yeah. No, I've been bragging about you since we met at the ball to Melanie. So
It's true.
Yay,
It's
I love that. Oh,
true.
to be a fly on the wall.
Mm, all good
yeah.
things. I was like, yes, get her on immediately. It sounds like you both had this epic magical time at this ball. America does
It
book
was.
on a whole other level, I'm realizing.
Yeah, well, this is new, I think, for us, right? Because I think they just started cropping up like within the last year or two,
Yeah.
um, and then being invited to one was like so cool. I had a blast. So
Yeah. It was fun getting dressed up and I'm a very lazy dresser upper. So this is like just enough. It was fun. It was good.
you were so cute. You had like a corset and you were very piratey. I loved it.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, I had to do the corset because I couldn't zip up the back. So I had to
I know you telling that story was so funny. You're like, actually, underneath this, my dress is not zipped, but you can't tell. And I was like, no, you can't.
gotta make do.
Uh,
You gotta make do.
I love that. Were you nervous all night that it would like slip out from under the corset?
No, it was pretty secure.
Okay.
So it worked.
it
Um,
definitely looked secure. Like you, I would have nenever known if she hadn't said it. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very proud of that for me. I'm proud of Well, anyways, enough about me and my corset. Let's get back to you. Like, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
yes. So my name's Analeigh Sbrana. Um, I'm 33. I enjoy long walks through the woods. Um, I'm a huge reader. I've been writing my entire life, and I'm the author of Lore of the Wilds, my first book, my debut, which was released this year, 2024. So
And it's been a whirlwind. Yeah, it's
it
been
has.
fun just watching you and your book. Well, you were already a big, famous person, but to watch your
Literally no.
book blow up.
No. But thank you. I have a blast putting my whole life on the internet. So it's always so surprising. Like I remember the first time it ever really was real that I post a lot of my stories and stuff. Was in 2022. I went to a Polycon, the convention in DC, and I went as a reader because my book didn't even have an agent yet or anything. I was just an aspiring author at the time. So I went as a reader and I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, you're a literary ex-queen, right?" Because that's my handle, that's my Bookstagram handle, and I ended up keeping it. Um, but she was like, "Oh, you're literary ex-queen," and I was like, "Yeah, that's me." She was like, "How was Scotland?" And I was like, "Yes, I did go to Scotland last month, and you know that because I put out my stories." It was like the weirdest like feeling ever, like having it be like, "Oh, this is actually real life, that people like actually view this and for some reason remember it, even though I just assume that the moment they swipe, they forget, I guess. I don't know."
Yeah.
So,
No, that's the interesting. It's true though. Like you feel like you're posting and then it's just like to the void sometimes. And then you have
yeah.
those moments you're like, oh, we're humans like interacting. And
Yeah.
it's a good
Because most of the
reminder.
time it is to the void. Nobody sees it.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah.
like how many times you pray to the algorithm gods, you know.
Mm.
But
People are paying attention. So yeah, you're doing the job. You're doing it right. Okay, I want to ask one of our favorite questions, which is our what is the strangest thing you own?
oh. Oh, okay. The strangest thing I own. Probably my grandmother's hair,
Whoa.
which has been braided and saved. It's actually my great grandmother's hair,
Wow.
by my
Wow.
grandma, my mom, and now I own it. It's now mine. So
Now, do
it's
you keep it like
fun.
in a special
It,
box?
it's just in a box in a closet. I guess for my daughter to one day have as her own.
I want to
Yeah.
ask more questions. Whatever you're willing to answer
Look,
about
my
this
family is a
thing.
sentimental bunch, I guess.
Aw,
So I
that's
think my
really
mom still has my
sweet.
baby teeth. So yeah, which is an American thing. People
Yeah, I
just
still
cheat.
have my kids' baby
Really?
teeth.
I
So
have
I
my
don't.
kids. I have my
Yeah,
daughter's baby teeth.
like what do we do with this? Someday we'll think of
I'm
something.
just like, I have some of your bones. Forever in this little, looks like a treasure box. So it's my
Yeah,
treasure.
little teethy treasures.
Well,
It's
now I'm
like,
excited to ask our next question, which is what is something you think about way too often? Is it the hair in the box?
no, actually, it's not. I almost never think of that. So, and I don't actually usually tell people about it, but now everyone knows. Let's see. Um, so like my Roman Empire.
Yes,
Yes.
Remember
yes.
that? It's got to be publishing. And I know that's gonna sound weird, but it's like my favorite thing to talk about and something that I think about so much, just the entirety of it, just everything. Like my poor husband, who is, I like to say he's a jock, like he played football in college, like stuff like that. He's really into like sports. He has a six pack, like for fun, like he just has one. Um, but like he now knows like so much publishing drama because I just like word vomit at him because I'm always thinking about it. So yeah.
Mm, that's very
Yeah.
relatable. My husband is also well versed. He is well versed. Like he could sit at any table that I bring him and contribute to the publishing conversation.
Yes, no, for real. Mine could too. And like I feel bad because he put so much effort. Like he remembers like my favorite authors and everything. And like even the names of like the big five like publishing houses and stuff. And then like he'll talk about like a footballer and I'll be like,
Okay, no,
which
but I've
is
thought
that?
about this.
Yeah.
I have guilt as well. My husband is a proud truck driver and he loves it's like his special interest. Trucks are everything. And I also struggle to commune with the trucking folk at times. But listen, our job is specifically to entertain, to make stories. So if we're not
Yeah.
entertaining people with them, our loved ones should be entertained by our stories. I think it's different,
Oh.
you know?
Yeah, totally, totally. I'm gonna use that to appease my guilt, of which
Yeah.
I also
That's
I
good. We're
try
here to
though.
heal.
I finally know the difference between NFL and college football.
Yeah.
So and the teams, like I finally know. And in my head for years they were just one group.
Well
Well,
done. And I
that is
know what Jake
progress.
breaks are.
I see and I don't. So good job. Good
Good
job.
for all. Good. I'm so happy for you. You too. I love that. Okay, so you mentioned obviously you love publishing. So does your husband. He's obsessed. Now was like being a writer. Well, let's go back. Like, tell us a little bit about your journey because it's so fascinating. It's amazing. Like, can you tell us how you got from, living life to here we are? Like, give us the whole
Yeah.
breakdown of your publishing journey.
Yes, I can. So my publishing journey was I like to say that like nothing in my life is like just black and white. And then I joke, well, I'm like, well, except for me. Um, but like everything is always like a gray area for me for some reason. And my publishing journey is no different. So I've been writing forever, for as long as I can remember. I've been writing like little romance stories since I was a kid. Really heavy on the Twilight fan fiction in high school, fanfiction.net. And I used to have an original story on fictionpress.net, I think. I don't know if you guys were on those, but they were amazing. It was basically what AO3 is or Wattpad today, but it was my era back in like high school. I mean, I was on it constantly. And so I've always wanted to be a writer forever. And I ended up like, once I had my daughter, I really didn't write very much. And I finally wanted to get back into reading. And so I remember messaging my friend because she posted pictures of books all the time on her Facebook. And I was like, why are you taking these beautiful photos of books? Like, I just want to know because, like, I love books and photography. And she's like, oh, I do this thing called Bookstagram. It's on Instagram. So I checked it out and it changed my life. Now I found this corner of the internet that was beautiful photos of books, and I have a degree in photography, so I love photography. All people did was talk about reading and writing, and I was like, this is my people, this is where I belong. Like I've found my cult. Finally, I've been searching for years. And so then I just like really it reignited my like need to write. Like, okay, I've always been writing, let me do it again. I had this idea for a story. I start writing it. Takes me 3 years to finish Lore of the Wilds. And so then I'm like, okay, I need to, I need to query. I would say this is about 2 years into it because even when I started querying, I was not ready. Like the book was not ready. I should not have been querying it. You know what I mean? But I ended up getting some really good feedback from an editor. It was really the nicest rejection letter you could ever get
Nice.
about how marketable she thought it was and how incredible the story was. But she said she couldn't champion my main character. And so I really went back and was like, let's see, like, well, why? Like, what's going on with her character arc, stuff like that. So I ended up doing a massive rewrite. Um, like 40,000 words of it, I think I rewrote.
Wow.
Mm.
And then I was querying again and I was getting so many requests. I was getting partial requests, full requests, and they were just taking so long to reject me. I mean, it was like 6 months later, 8 months later. After my book came out, I got a rejection. Literally. That I was like,
Lovely.
dude, I definitely thought that it was, rejection when I didn't hear from you after over a year. But thank you.
Right?
Um, And so I had this sort of big following on Instagram. My TikTok book talk was, gaining traction. I have so many friends and I have been so open about my publishing journey. As we've already said, I put my whole life on on the internet. So I was like, I even posted the first day I ever queried. Like, I queried today, guys. I posted when I've got my first rejection. So I had a lot of people who were kind of following my journey and really rooting for me. Um, Eventually, I started getting messages like, "Look, we're ready for your book. Like, we want to read it. We're ready to read it. Like, you're telling us a little bit about it. We want it." So I finally was like, "Okay, I have so many. There's so many indie authors who I just absolutely admire. So many that I'm friends with. And so I was like, I'm gonna just go that route. I'm gonna go indie." I withdrew all my queries, even the ones who were out. I had full manuscript queries out. I was like, it could be half a year before I hear back from them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I withdrew my queries and I decided to go the indie route, which was like, I felt like learning how to query properly was like learning a second language, and then learning how to go indie was like learning 10 new
Mm.
languages. I mean, the amount of work I now had to do. I had to learn about how do you send arcs and how do you do it safely so that hopefully you won't be pirated. There's so
Mm.
many things. I had to find a cover artist. I had to find a copy editor. I had to find a proofreader who had to be different people. Things like that. And so I will say the indie community, like some of my friends were like guiding stars. I went to them for so many questions, it's the smallest things, and they always answered them. There's no gatekeeping in that community, like at all. It's beautiful. Um, and so I had a cover and it was beautiful and it was the most stunning thing ever. And I hit up my friends on Bookstagram and a few on TikTok and was like, "What's up, guys? If I send you a box with my book in it, will you post my cover reveal?" And, we do on this day. And they're like, "Absolutely." All of them said yes. It was 100% success rate. I mailed out the books. It cost way more than I thought it would. I had no idea. And mainly because I always shipped books media mail, but I made this whole little box, and so it had a candle, and it had bookmarks, and it had all these things. So I couldn't do media mail, and I was like, why did I do this?
Mm.
Um, and my the cover reveal that I ended up posting went viral. And I will tell you, I've never had a video that I actually wanted to do well. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
only videos that I gave zero effort, didn't care at all. Like those are the ones that do amazing. This one time, and that's why I try not to ever complain because this one time it did so well. It's still my best performing video ever. Um, and I had an agent reach out to me. They said, "Hey, I saw your cover reveal. I saw that your book's not out yet. Are you interested in representation?" And I was like, "Dang, this is a scam. That's so sad. Like, I wish this was real." It was real. Okay, it was real. I cross-checked like the email handle versus like the website versus like, okay, she's actually reps Allie Hazelwood. Like, no way. I love Allie Hazelwood. Like, is this real life? Um, I sent her my manuscript on Friday. I had an email on Saturday saying offer of representation. in the
Yes.
headline. I'm like crying in a movie theater. It was like seriously crazy. Then 2 weeks later, my book went to auction.
That is
And
so wild.
yeah, and it was like overnight. I mean, it was overnight. My book went to
Mm.
auction. I had my favorite publishing houses like fighting over my book. I'm like, what is happening? It ended up selling to Harper Voyager, who is like my favorite. Like I feel like 50% of these books behind me are probably Harper Voyager.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was like, yes, this is the best thing that's ever happened. And yeah, and here we are. So
Wow.
that's my story.
Wow, wow, wow. I'm so curious. What did you do with the original book? Was that still released?
So it's kind of funny because my original indie version, which is shorter
Mm.
and not as good, I will say, um, I had worked with three companies to do indie versions of it. They were gonna, or not indie versions, to do special editions of it. Um, so I had already signed contracts with them.
Mm.
They had signed contracts for a limited print run and they were going to do special editions and send them out. And so I told, Harper Voyager, I was like, so I have these contracts that I signed and I have these editions that are going to be going out. So there are about 800 versions floating around of my indie
Wow.
version that are like special little skinny copies of my book. And they're so beautiful. And I'm so thankful that we were still able to do that. And HarperCollins was just like, all right, we're just gonna roll with it. I mean, they just rolled with the
Yeah.
punches. They're like, you know what I mean? This, if you already had this going on, like, okay, sounds good. So it was really, really wonderful. And I'm just so thankful I got to work with them. And so whenever we published the version now, I did work with my editor, who's my editor still. I worked with her. She was like, here's some scenes you should add, maybe expand on this one. Let's talk about this. And so I did definitely go back and edit
That's
while
so
before it was released.
interesting and so cool. But yeah, like, of course, it shouldn't be because I was genuinely curious what happens with those connections and whatever. But like, why would it be a bad thing? Because those people are going to want the extended edition with a new cover. Like, it's like just
Yeah.
another part of the journey of the book. I feel like I totally want to see
Hmm.
the other copies because that's so
Me
cool that it had
too.
like this other journey as well and then it came out in a new form. Next, we'll have the musical. You know what I mean? Like it can.
Yes. Oh, I love, yes, please. Please. Yes. And the
Yeah.
screenplay. Girl,
Screenplay. Let's make it
what
happen,
could you imagine?
please.
Could you
Yes.
imagine? Oh my
All
God.
the things. Want all the things.
I know.
I love hearing this story. I love like the quote unquote non-traditional paths because
Mm.
it just shows there's so many different ways to get to the end goal, which is publishing the book. And you found multiple ways you did it.
Yeah.
You did it both ways and it both worked out, which I think is just so amazing. Has there been anything about publishing that has surprised you?
I think, yeah, I would say that what surprised me is that like how much your publishing team like really hypes you up. Because I didn't know that was part of it. And I remember sitting at like my first little meeting with like my marketing, the head of the marketing, and then like my personal marketing person, and then my publicist and my agents on the meeting, and there's my editor on the meeting, and they're just like telling me how much they love Lore of the Wilds, and I'm just sitting here like, is this real life? What's happening here? Because I didn't know that they were like your hype team. I had no idea, so that surprised me.
I love that. Yeah, and I guess it's got to be different for every single author out there. So it's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I will say I'm very lucky
Mm.
because I got an editor who I'm obsessed with, an agent who I'm obsessed with, my publicist. I finally got to meet her in New York last time I was there. So like it was so great meeting her because we've been emailing forever, you know what I mean? And so I will say that I got so lucky with my team. And I know that not everyone has the same experience, but like I wish I could make that for everybody. I wish everyone could experience this.
Oh, for sure. But
Mm.
you also, I mean, you've been putting in the work of
Yeah.
being putting your life out there and having people join you along the way, which obviously not everybody can do, feels comfortable with doing. But like, do
Yeah.
you feel social media like now in this day and age for authors? Do you think it's something authors should be on, should be doing?
I will say it depends on what you want out of your your journey, you know?
Mm.
I would say I used to imagine myself like living in a cottage, a little witch, in a cottage. I would write my manuscript on like my typewriter. I would have my little thick book. I'd tie it with a bow, put it in like a manila envelope and like mail it to my agent. And then my agent would get it. And then that would be it. And then like one day they'd call me and be like, we're sending a jet, you won this award. Um,
Yes.
but it's like if you want to do well and be successful, I would say in 2024 going into 2025, then you probably need to be on social media. Um unless you're already like grandfathered in. You know what I mean? Unless you're like one of those authors who like writes a book every 7 years, but still we cannot wait to have it in our hands. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But nowadays it just really seems like if it, and like I said, it depends on what you want out of your career. I wanted this. I've wanted community. I've wanted this community forever since I joined Bookstagram. There's just something about readers and writers that I enjoy so much. And so
mm.
for me, being on social media and going to the events and, doing the podcast and doing the things, like to me, that brings me joy. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't bring you joy, there is still a way for you to have success.
Mm,
Um, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that because it is working for some people.
mm.
So,
Yeah.
You gave me a
Yeah.
little chill because I just literally had my friend Jess Para come from the States to visit, and I was like so emotional after because I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I always dreamed it would be like being part of this
yeah.
community. And that's how it felt. I was like, oh yeah, like I have like a friend that is like the people I used to be like, wow, like that's my community now. And that's it. Like, that's the part that like I was so hopeful for. So I love
Yeah.
that so
That's
much.
beautiful. I love like when you finally get to meet your friends from online, it is like that love is real.
It's
Like
real.
and they're always like a different height too than you think they're gonna be.
She
Like
warned
they're
me
always
that she's
either
like
taller or
short.
shorter. And you're like, why did I think you were so tall?
Oh my
Um,
God, that's so
so
real. I get that
it's
if I'm not wearing heels, every single time people are always like, "Oh my God, you're a lot shorter
That
than I
happens to
know."
me a
Yeah.
100% of the time. They're like, no way, you're short. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 5'2". Like, I'm really short.
Oh,
You
she
just give
warned
off tall
me.
girl. Yeah, par worn. Yeah.
She warned me hard. In the end, I wasn't surprised at all. I was like, you're like totally normal. Like, yeah, she's short. I'm a full head and a half taller than her.
Oh my gosh. That's so fun though.
It
Yeah,
was fun.
that is funny.
I picked her up and I spun her around the cafe because she was so small.
Love that.
Yeah.
See, I told you, true love.
Yeah,
It's true. It
exactly.
is, honestly. And that's why we wanted to start this is
Yeah.
we found each other through Pitch Wars back in the day. And it
Oh
was such like,
yeah.
it's like this beautiful community. We're all on the group chat together or whatever. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, what now? And so we're like, okay, well, we have to keep in community because really it's like the only way you survive
It
sometimes.
is. Yeah, well, writing is so isolating.
Yeah.
It is. I tell my husband all the time, like, you go to work all day, you have your friends, sometimes you play pickleball with him at lunch.
Mm,
Um, and I'm like, and then there's just me, like, in here, this is where I'm at, you
yeah.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
And
So
I'm
I got to get on my phone and BS, otherwise I'm gonna go nuts.
Yeah. And the
yeah.
other thing I'm realizing as well is like my writing friends think different. And you start
Mm.
to feel like exhausted by how like the layman on the street thinks. Whereas like
Yeah.
your writing friends just get it. You know what I mean? Like they just get the things and makes it feel like such a safe space.
Well, and sometimes I say things that sound absolutely like bonkers. You know what I mean? Like anytime I mention like, oh yeah, I'm a pantser, so like really my characters kind of lead me and I just try to like wrangle them in and everyone's like if they're not a writer, they're looking at me like, what do you mean your characters that you're making up in your head
Right?
don't do what you want them to? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
They
Like I
just don't
totally
get it. They don't get
yeah,
it. It's
they
true.
don't.
It's true. It's a beautiful, weird, wonky community and wouldn't want it
Yeah.
any other way. Um, I do want to like ask for those who don't know and who haven't read it, can you tell us a little bit about Lore of the Wilds? Not Lord, as I miswrote it in
I mean,
It's
Lord
not
of
you, it's autocorrect.
Yeah, I
I
was
have
like,
to
I'm
do
gonna
that all
blame
the
autocorrect
time.
on that. Lore of the Wilds.
Okay, so Lore of the Wilds is a new adult romantasy. It is the first installment in a planned duology, so there's only going to be two books. You don't have to commit to like a super long series. It's about a human woman who lives in a world where the humans are subjugated by the Fae, and humans are not allowed to do magic, not allowed to have magic, and they're confined to this one city. Lore is able to escape by making a deal with a dark fae lord. She is tasked to search an enchanted library with a deadly curse on it. Um, and from there, the story goes.
Mm. It sound no wonder it went viral. It sounds like all the like best things mixed up together. Sexy Fae, Enchanted Library, like come on.
Yes.
Take my
Yeah,
money
and
already.
right? And it's so funny because people always say like, "Oh my gosh, like you match your book cover, like you're wearing green and your book cover is green and this and oh, there's mushrooms and this and this." And I'm like, I'm like, I actually don't match my book cover. My book cover matches me. Like it is my aesthetic, which is like a cottage core. So if you're looking for like a cottage core book, it's cozy and at times, it's dark at times, then that'll be the book for you. So.
Here for it. I'm here for it. Was there anything that like inspired this book, or was it just like, this is just me and all of my favorite things?
I'll tell you, well, I my whole book came from a daydream. I was just I was cursed with an overly active imagination. And so I'm sitting there, I'm just thinking like if I just picture this like human woman walking into a library that for some reason no one's stepped foot in for 1,000 years. And I didn't know where the library was. I didn't know why nobody had been in it. I didn't even know who she was. And that her entire story unraveled from there. And like I said, I'm a pantser, so it really just the story like kind of wrote itself, and then I had to rewrite it two more times, so it rewrote itself two times more. But yeah, so
Wow. Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that. I love like I mean, it just it's such a writerly thing to do is just like have this image sprout into your head and then here we are. For book
yeah.
two, did you pants your way through that one as well, or was it like a different process?
So book two, I've always known the ending, so it was really interesting to me to work up to that. That was actually like really something that was hard for me, and so I definitely did a lot more plotting, a lot more planning. Um, and so it was different, and I finished it, like wrote it completely and finished it and wrote something that I'm so proud of and I cannot wait for people to read in less than a year. So I will say that went a lot faster.
Mhm.
Amazing. When does that one come out?
July 8th,
Okay.
2025.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
put it on your
On
calendar.
the calendar, what do you think the hardest part of all of this has been for you so far?
Um, I think the hardest part is definitely work-life balance. I have ADHD and sometimes it's really hard for me to make myself write, and sometimes it's hard for me to make myself stop writing. So
Mm,
it's really hard for me to balance. It's like either I'm doing it too much or not enough. That's like literally it. It's, and plus with the social media, wanting to post and wanting to do content. I do miss taking my bookstagram photos and repping for companies and stuff, but I just don't have the creativity anymore. Every ounce of creativity that I have now goes to my stories. And so
mm,
I can't make content anymore. Like I just can't do it. So
You're
mm.
busy making your own goods right now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm sure we'll all have different seasons and you can get back to it. But right now you've got books to write for all of us. So
right. I'm on deadline for a new secret project that hasn't been announced yet.
yes,
So
I think I saw you post about that
yes,
today,
I
and I was
basically was posting.
excited.
I cannot wait to talk about this.
Here for it. Uh,
Yeah.
what has been the best part of all of this so far?
I think the best part has been my readers, because I wrote about a mixed girl in fantasy. My cast is almost primarily, it's almost all Black. And I just wrote it unapologetically exactly how I wanted to. I'm Irish as well, and so a lot of the lore is like, Irish folklore based as well. And so I just wrote what I wanted to, and to have people message me and say, I've never seen myself in a fantasy book before. I've never read where somebody has to worry about their hair or find cream for their curls or worry about this and like, your fierce family, like her family ties and her loyalty and to her community and stuff like that. Like they're like, I feel so seen. Um, and that makes everything. It makes my day, my week, my month, every time I get a message like that. So it's really wonderful.
I love
That's
that so
beautiful.
much. Also, no wonder the two of you connected because I believe someone else has some Irish background as
I
well.
do.
I don't know
I
if you
do.
knew
Oh,
that.
okay.
Makes sense.
Cool.
We
I
were
love
about to be
that.
There could be
distant
Hey,
some,
cousins.
it's coming full circle now.
yeah,
Yeah.
there could be some common witchy ancestor from your past.
That feels
Probably.
right. Yeah, that
Yeah,
feels
that
real.
does.
Yeah.
That does. Our great aunt, great aunt.
Yes. I love that.
Yes.
Okay,
Probably.
well, I want to ask our favorite question, which is looking back at all you've accomplished, what advice would you give a younger version of you before you started this journey?
I would say don't be afraid to write the story of your heart and to make it as diverse as you want.
Mm,
Because people want your story, whether no matter how much media and the world is telling you that they don't, they really do. There's people out there who want to read it. That's what I'll say.
Period.
yes.
Because it
Period.
took me a
Full
long
stop.
time to get over that and to be brave enough to
Mm,
not like really just make my story the one that I had been reading my whole life. The fantasy stories, very hetero, very straight, very white, you know what I mean? And so when I was younger, those were the stories that I was writing because that's all I was reading. And so to be able to break out of that, it took me years and years.
mm. Yeah. And then now here we are, and you are, you're touching so many readers' lives and hearts because you decided to listen to your own. And I think there's nothing more powerful and beautiful than
Oh,
that. So, congratulations on everything.
thank you.
Lastly, because we have like 3 more minutes, what fills your creative well?
Um,
Because I know now you're not taking pictures, so what are you
I know.
doing?
I will say travel.
Mm,
Mm,
Travel for sure. Meeting new people, hearing different accents, um, going out and finding like just exploring places I've never been, even if it's just like a coffee shop I've never been to or something, and sitting down and like eavesdropping on people's conversations because I am nosy. That, travel it always makes me want to write and helps me with, especially with dialogue and all that. So,
mm. It's amazing that you've been able to identify that as well, even when you were saying before about like how now social media or like elements, your photo shoots and stuff, it takes too much creative energy. Like I think that's something actually really profound to realize that like at a point there's like a limit of how much creative
yeah.
energy you can pour into stuff. That hit deep, honestly. That hit deep and like yeah, now you've realized like well travel pours back into the cup rather than sucks out
Yes,
of it.
exactly.
Mm, I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
write my best like right after I've traveled or like while I'm traveling. Um, and if I don't go anywhere new for a while, like, and I'll be talking to my husband, like, oh my gosh, I just can't get any words down. I hate what I've been writing, blah, blah, blah. He'll be like, well, we need to go somewhere. Like, where do you want to go? And I'll be like, oh, yes, that's it. You're right. We need to. So
I
it's
love
really
it. He's a
wonderful.
keeper. I
Oh,
love
he
that.
is. Oh, yeah, for sure.
He knows what you need. And it's
Yeah,
travel. It's getting the hell away.
for real.
Yeah, just seeing like how big the world is and remembering like that the little bubble that you live in is like so small sometimes. I
And
find
not
like,
only that,
yeah.
but like traveling and meeting people and like finding connections with people, total
Mm,
strangers, and seeing how they live and they love. I mean, it does something. It's so great when you're writing about like the human condition,
mm,
to go
mm.
around and do that. So,
Beautiful.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
I have loved getting to know you today on the pod. Thank you for making the time to come on.
Of
And yeah, we're
course.
cheering so hard for you. Thank you for sharing all your wise words.
I don't know if they're wise, but thank you.
They're very wise and very profound. And yeah, again, we had so much fun chatting with you and thanks for taking the time to sit and tell your journey.
You too. Thank you so much. I really just I was listening to your podcast too, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, we have a good time. It's a good time on here.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to cut
All
us off
right.
any
Yeah.
second, so we will let you go. Enjoy the rest of your night. Night? It's night. You're in the same place, right? In California.
We're
Yeah.
it's
What?
midday right now. It's
Oh,
we're
midday.
getting
Yeah.
there,
Not bad.
Melanie. We're
Enjoy
getting
your
there.
Okay.
morning.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.